if you could take a moment and go to thegrowingbanddirector.com to give at least $5 or $3 a month, and it helps the content continue to be created for you to help our profession grow. Let's go back to our scheduled episode. Welcome back to the Growing Band Director Podcast. This is episode number 248. I'm here with Joshua Williams from Florida. Joshua, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. Looking forward to doing this presentation. You did it of FMEA back in February. First, tell us where you teach.
I teach in Navarre, Florida at East Bay K through 8 school.
So for the guy from Maine, where the heck is Navarre Beach in relationship to other things?
If you know where Pensacola is, it's like right there. Everything's like near Pensacola or Destin. We're like sandwiched right in between. If you just go straight down, you can go from Pensacola straight to Destin that way. So
Did you grow up in Florida? Is that where you're from?
I did. I'm a native from Crestview, which is once again near Pensacola. It's right on the like Alabama Florida border. Not really
Okay.
right on it, but like pretty close to it. So.
So Florida is a fairly large state. For someone I've been to Florida a few times, tell me a little bit about the band scene in Florida.
I'm in District 1 for Florida. We have the Tri-District county area is split into different districts across Florida. And I would like to say that the districts love competing against each other. It is so much fun. We're also very supportive of each other. The bands kind of share the knowledge, like at FMEA. It was really cool to be able to go and represent my district. There was one other director from my area that presented actually on marching band stuff. He's like, yes, I'm going to talk positively about marching band.
Mhm.
So we were, giving him a hard time for that, but we had a great time. He did a great presentation as well, and it was really cool to be able to collaborate with a bunch of people because that's just kind of the nature of Florida education. We kind of build off of each other's successes.
Do you spend valuable time all year correcting your students' hand position instead of focusing on the music? Thumb Gummy solves that. These simple, cost effective teaching aids fit on trumpets and trombones to guide the right hand into proper playing position, reducing tension, improving form, and giving tactile feedback so students can focus on playing, not adjusting. It's easy to use, comfortable, and designed by teachers and players for beginners as well as older students. Join thousands already seeing the difference and keep an eye out for our new clarinet thumb rest coming soon. Visit thumbgummy.com to learn more. That's thumbgummy.com. Excelsior Music Publishing is proud to sponsor the Growing Band Director podcast. With spring concert season on the horizon, Excelsior Music Publishing is proud to offer a vast catalog of inspiring concert band and jazz ensemble pieces that will be right at home on your spring programs. You'll find works by imaginative composers for all levels. Find music for your graduation and spring concerts at excelsiormusic.com. That's EXCELCIA music.com. If you're a band or orchestra director looking to streamline your rehearsals and help your students take ownership of their intonation, you need to know about Tuner Caddy. It was invented by Mark Casperson, a veteran band director with 38 years in the classroom. Like lots of us, he was tired of drop tuners, scattered materials, and constant reminders. So he created a solution, and after 57 prototypes, the Tuner Caddy was born. It's been used by some of the most respected programs in the country. Mouse Middle School, Cooper Junior High School, Arbor Creek and Creek Valley, Rushing Middle School, Stiles and Grisham Middle Schools, and the Henry Middle School Band, which was a 2024 CCC Honor Band of Texas. These aren't just good groups, they're the best of the best. And when they step on stage at Midwest, TMEA, or Music for All, many of them have Tuner Caddy right there with them. It's been used by university music ed professors to help train future teachers because it works. The classic fits most stands and includes a pencil holder. Student Pro is slim, binder ready, and magnetized, and the new Tuner Metronome combo transposes and has a 6-foot mic, ideal for students and directors alike. You can get them at tunercaddy.com, Music and Arts, Sweetwater, Premier Music Teaching Aids, and local retailers. They even offer grant writing support for educators. Check them out. So your presentation was called "Where Do I Start?" Question mark. Tips for rebuilding or growing your program. What was the genesis of this?
Obviously East Bay Arcade is a smaller school, so my idea was to help any director that was in a similar model to me, because the K8 model is becoming extremely popular in my area. They actually just built a second K8 in my district alone, and they're working on multiple K8s in the tri-district area. They're planning on building this format, and it is a very tough format. I started the program year zero. Had nothing, no instruments, no people, anything, and we started. And I wanted to share the one thing I think I'm actually pretty decent at, which is recruitment. My ideas towards that and how I kind of created that culture of kids wanting to be in band and grow the band, if that makes sense. And wanted to
Because
share the one thing I think I'm decent at.
the one thing, give yourself some credit. But so where I'm from, we call that the neighborhood school, right? It's like these kids go
Mhm.
to school for 9 years or whatever in one school. So what are some positives about having a school setup like that? You get to see the kids for a bunch of years as they're
Yeah,
coming
for
in.
sure. I think the biggest positive is that one of my favorite things is that recruitment is the easiest thing. I can walk down the hallway and my fifth grade classrooms are right there. So my sixth grade band, they literally have to walk past my symphonic band rehearsals to get to lunch, and it's amazing. They hear them rehearsing and working on really cool music, and especially around like the holidays when we're doing like winter tunes and Christmas tunes and other things like that. They get to hear and constantly be in that band environment, and then when it's time for me to start talking to them about it, they get to kind of dig into it. They're like, "Oh, this is familiar. I know what this is."
So you said you're really good at recruiting. Is it like you think personally that's something that you have some personal traits that are really good at? Like what makes for a good recruiter, especially at the young age level?
I think the first and most important thing is speaking to your audience, knowing that our audience for me personally is middle schoolers. They like somebody who has a lot of energy, that isn't afraid to be funny sometimes, and
Hmm.
there's time for seriousness, obviously, but there's also time for speaking their language and laughing and having a good time and making the culture something where they're excited to come in and they're excited to make music, but they're also excited to be people. You know what I mean? So that's I think that's the biggest trait I would say for a good recruiter is to make the kids genuinely excited to be able to have that conversation with you. Not only just play your instrument, but also this is a person who's interested in me as a person. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, the sort of Pied Piper middle school kind of teacher is just so valuable, right? I mean, you got
yeah,
to be the right
it's a
person for
show.
that.
It's a show for sure. I mean, you gotta I say this all the time. I don't know how elementary music teachers do what they do. So mad respect to any of your listeners that are elementary teachers and band as well, because I mean that is a difficult thing. I think it takes every single level has its own special needs, and the middle school level has its unique climate just as much as high school does.
I live, as you may know, with a middle school band director, so I know enough to know that I don't know, but I do understand because I've been told many times that I do not know.
It's a
However, I do
lot.
understand.
It's a
Yeah.
lot. You have to be on constantly.
Okay, a summary of some of your school successes and some learning moments.
I think the biggest thing that is, and my biggest bragging point, because I'm a fairly young teacher. This is my fifth year of teaching,
Mhm.
and that's why I was saying the one thing I think have a solid grasp on is the recruiting. Our first year at East Bay, we didn't really have people showed up to band, so there were 28, I think 28 or 29 students that first year. I was teaching elementary music and middle school band and chorus. And I was also the assistant at Navarre High School for that year. So it was a really busy year. But we started out with 28, and I really pushed myself. I was like, how can I get more people in this room? And how can I make myself just at the middle school level, which I am now currently? And we're now in our fourth year, and we're at just right at 130 students in the band, which is a great, tremendous amount of growth. And like, I think that was just something I wanted to share positively. That if you have this mindset towards recruiting, that it can totally happen. You just have to really hyperfixate on this is what I want to do. And also another note is too, just for clarification for the listeners, there's only 400 in our middle school. The other we have 1,100 students, so the other students are all elementary school. So
Wow. You said you have three key ideas for your session: establish, strengthen, and strengthen. Is that how you spell? That's how you spell strengthen. Yeah, you have it
I
right.
was like, did I misspell
No, you
it?
got it right. And retain. So let's kind of break each one of those down. What do you mean by establish?
So I broke it down into I wanted to first establishing the vision of your program and getting the kids to buy into that vision. For me, I want my kids to foster a deep love and understanding for the music that they're playing and the instruments that they're learning. And basically, it was a day one. I'm treating you like a musician. Day one, I know this is a middle school classroom, but you're going to have the attitude of the United States Marine Band. You know what I mean? This is something that you're passionate for. You're going to love it just as much as I love it. And that's the first thing I try to do is establish a culture of this, understanding and appreciation for what we're doing.
Okay, and then when you get to strengthen, is that just as you have that culture, you continue to they improve at a faster rate because of it?
That's exactly what it is, and strengthening those core values and getting the kids bought in. I taught in the presentation about my incentive-based teaching.
Hmm.
Some people, don't like to reward too much. They just do the right thing because it's the right thing. Me personally, I find that students really, really dig into some kind of thing where they can feel like it's almost like a video game. They feel like they can kind of level up in a way. And I have a different incentives that I offer them that they can kind of, like you said, strengthen those values. Once we establish it, they get rewarded for demonstrating those positive behaviors, demonstrating leadership and musicianship in the room. So it kind of reinforces the positive things and it becomes habit over time. And I really focus on that in the beginning stage. So when I get to like the concert band, symphonic band level, it kind of takes a back pedal. They still get rewarded, but it's my beginners that are really getting rewarded for doing these habits. Like, oh, wow, great posture. Okay, there you go. Here's an incentive for you. So.
What are some of the rewards and incentives that you use?
I call it the ticket system is my big one. I have little raffle tickets. You can get them like a giant roll of them like you would for a football game for like $5-10. And anytime a student demonstrates anything positive, whether it be positive musicianship, whether it be posture, whether it be them being a good leader or a good friend to their students around them, they get a ticket. And they can turn in this ticket for an immediate prize, like piece of candy or something to eat outside of the band room. And or like a pencil for their stand. Or I have a little prize bucket, or they can actually put it into the. I have a giant jar. They can put it in there, and I shake the jar up before every class, and they can see how many tickets are growing in each day. Because at the end of the year, which is coming up fast approaching, which is crazy at the time of this recording, we give them a gift card to local businesses. I go around and ask them, we have student achievement. Would you like to donate to our band? We're going to give this gift card to a student that demonstrates positive qualities in the classroom. And I draw a name. They can put tickets in there. It's the coolest thing. So they get an immediate prize or a large prize if they want, if they're willing to be patient and have the potential of getting something big.
So how do those incentives change as the kids get older?
As the kids get older, I've noticed that it's less about candy. Sixth graders love candy. They love pencils. My eighth graders, some of them like to turn in tickets as we're packing up at the last couple of minutes. I don't have cell phones in my room. I don't really like that, but they can turn in a ticket to be able to quickly scroll on TikTok after they put away their instrument quietly. Or if they want to put in an earbud at the end of class and listen to a song, they can turn in a ticket because they demonstrated positive, they're being a leader, they're doing their pass off or whatever. They can turn that in for a small benefit for like literally 2 minutes at the end of class.
What my wife does mainly for incentives at the middle school level, especially with the younger the kid, you're right, like they're into it the most. She does the band karate thing. Have you heard of band karate?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
We take the
So
same ideas from that.
yeah. So I mean, yeah. So for people who don't know band karate, you check off something from the book, and you get a red thing, what ribbon put on your instrument, and they think it's so cool, and they want to get to the point where they get the black belt and they move on to the next one. So
Oh yeah.
to me, anything that keeps it fun for kids, as I think the issue that people run into is when it's more about the incentive than it is what you're actually doing.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
was talking with Chris Gleason that came out in February, where he was talking about how he used to bake cookies, and then he would say, "Okay, I need you guys. Let's work on this. Can you move the stands for me?" And they said, "How many cookies are we going to get?" So he got to a point where he was having issues with the incentives because it was turning into that rather than
For sure.
for the reasons he wanted. So that's great. Any other ideas you had for the listeners?
Absolutely. So also speaking to their interests, like I said, you got to know your audience that you're talking to, and middle schoolers absolutely are at that age where they love cool things. Me personally, something that is the only Pinteresty thing you'll find in my room is I have a board called Success is in the Cards, and I did a straw poll the first year of the thing, and I asked which like trading card is your favorite. And we had some people say Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon ended up being the favorite. So what I did is I got a bunch of Pokemon cards from a game shop, like just a bulk. They're not like anything worth anything. Anytime a student demonstrates something, for example, playing their seven major scales from memory, they can take one of these bulk cards, write their name down on it, and then they put it on this bulletin board, this giant wall that I have. And the cool thing is every year I take all the cards down and I put them in a binder. So I have a collection of student achievements. And for the past 5 years, I've been growing. It's the coolest thing. I have like this page is from year one, and then I have multiple pages from year two. It's really cool.
How do some of these incentives that you use build habits in your older students?
So like I mentioned, the beginners are kind of like the prime focus of they get these tickets for demonstrating any kind of behavior that I deem as positive. So good posture, hand position, playing position, demonstrating good leadership. We have like a morning practice session where they can come into. And I saw the other day two students were helping each other learn, like go crossing the break on the clarinet, for example. They were practicing that. And one person was like, "You're doing a great job. Don't forget, really make sure your hand position is good so you can don't squeak on the clarinet." And they were just giving them good feedback, and I think that that positive interaction is what I'm striving for the most.
Mhm.
So at the older ages they learn that if they did this they got this reward, and it just kind of sticks with them, and it builds this culture of positivity. And that, like I said, is passive classroom management. If the kids are being good to each other, most of the behavioral stuff, except for freak accidents and stuff like that, kind of just dissolve. And they're worried about like helping each other and making the music more than they are about the drama of the day-to-day life, if that makes sense.
And it's funny. I say this kind of jokingly, but we had our entire marching band play clarinet for a session of our last show because it was in honor of our former drill writer who had passed away, and he was a clarinet
Oh
player.
yeah.
So literally, we have like the whole drum line playing clarinet and the brass line
Wow.
playing, like everybody except for the front ensemble and one guard soloist. And literally, as after they learned all the things they had to learn, everything, I every rehearsal I'd say, whatever you do, don't squeak. Like if because it's hard enough to play the clarinet if you're not a trained
Yeah.
clarinet player. Try putting it down on the wet field when it's
Oh
42
yeah.
degrees outside and then picking it up 12 minutes later and just playing. Right.
Yeah. Oh my
So I'm like,
goodness. Yeah.
because some of the boys, it would just like squeak. So it's like, no, if it's not working, just fake it. Milli Vanilli it, as we say, right? Don't
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
like, so you said it. Rule number one, don't squeak on the clarinet. So if people get
Yeah.
nothing else out of this, don't squeak on the clarinet. So you started talking a little bit about how the students act now because of this. So what's your approach to in the middle school level to student leadership?
I do multiple things. So you know how the high school has like the John Philip Sousa Award?
Mhm.
Since this was a brand new school, I didn't want to like copy and paste things from other places. I wanted to start my own thing. I started a perpetual plaque called the Excellence in Leadership Award. And anytime the students demonstrate positive leadership, they get like a tally on, next to their name towards this award. And they're not like I don't tell them that this is like the way that I do it. So if they're if they're watching this, they know now. But every time they demonstrate something positive towards leadership, I put their name down for consideration for this award, and I give the student that is the most servant leader out of all of them their name on this perpetual plaque, and then they get a miniature version of the plaque itself, and it's a blue just like our school colors, and it hangs up in our
Hmm.
trophy case that we have at the front of the school. That's my first approach to leadership. The second thing is that we actually have, I don't know if this is in your school system, we have a class called Intro to Education and Training, and I can have students serve as teacher assistants. Is that a thing for you?
Not really.
So these students, for example, I have beginners that are going to be doing this for me next year because I was kind of test piloting it this year. Beginners that are going to be in band class, but then they're also going to be my student assistant in beginning band, and they get to act as leaders for the beginner class. So I'm going to have one brass and one woodwind, so I can kind of have people like while I'm focusing on this, they can be working with them on this. It's so cool.
They're going to get so much out of that. Anytime you
Oh
have the
yeah,
student mentors, it's awesome. It's so good for. I mean, we think about
for
it being
sure.
good for the younger kids, but it's those mentors themselves. It's so good for them.
And
And
they love it. They love
and
it.
you used the magic phrase servant leadership, right?
Yes, for
So
sure.
how would you define servant leadership for people who might not know?
Me personally, what I tell the kids is it is I don't want to say thoughtless. It's more of you're not planning for it. You are giving yourself to the person next to you because they genuinely need it. And giving everything that you have for the betterment of somebody else. That's how I would describe it.
I would 100% agree. It's that's one of the valuable things about band. Like
Hmm.
to be in
100%.
our band, your band, my band, anybody's band, you have to make it a sacrifice. It's not about you. It's about
Exactly.
everybody else. It's about us as a team. And again, if kids learn nothing else which of course they learn many, many other things. But if they learn nothing else more than it's not about me, I have to sacrifice for other people, then it's totally worth their time.
100%. And I actually give them those student leaders opportunities. I had a couple of my, I teach chorus as well. I had a couple of my chorus students be student assistants for concert and symphonic band. So they help out with copies and things like that. They pass out the 101 rhythmic rest books, manage our library. But at the winter concert, their semester exam for their class, I let them each conduct a song for my ensembles. So one of them did At the Feast of Stephen, and then the other one did Holiday Fiesta. They had such a good time. I broke out my trumpet. I sat down with the trumpet section and I played, and the parents ate it up. It was so cool.
So who wrote At the Feast of Stephen? Because I have a great story about that piece.
Oh goodness.
You said don't ask me composer.
I
I'm
know
sorry,
you did.
and I
Scott
did.
Scott Watson, I think.
Okay.
I might be wrong. Let me look that up. I have my.
I'll get while you look it up. I have my story. So these kids who are now sophomores, back when they were in my wife's band, they were doing At the Feast of Stephen, and which is an
Let's
arrangement
go.
of it's an arrangement by Scott Watson, right? Of Good
Yeah.
King Wenceslas. Is that what it is?
Mhm.
So it
Yes.
uses the words from that, right? So then
Mhm.
all of a sudden we had this trumpet player sitting last chair, who's the nicest boy. Of course, he was last year trumpet. Now he's tuba. Of course he is.
Yeah.
But he's we stopped. He raised his hand. He stood up. He said, "Mrs. Smith, who is Stephen, and why are we eating him?"
Oh my goodness, that's
And
hilarious.
our co-teacher was there, she was there, and everybody just started laughing. It was like one of those, this kid, I will always remember him.
And it derailed the rest of the class, didn't it? It was just after that, you're laughing so hard, you gotta just
Who
back
is
up.
Steven and why are we eating him?
I'm
Um,
so glad I was going to ask you to strike that if I was wrong. Scott Watson, let's go.
all right. He's got some great music.
Yeah,
All
for
right,
sure.
so let's talk about selecting literature. What are some of your favorite pieces, and how do you kind of go about selecting repertoire for middle school?
That's a great question. I try to build up to that from day one. We start with, the rhythmic rest books because I want to focus on rhythms that kind of are going to pop up in these pieces. A couple of
Who
my go-tos.
who
Oh, I'm
wrote
so
the
sorry.
who wrote that book?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. It's purple. It's
Okay, it's
purple.
purple. Okay.
That's as much as I know. It's a great book, though. It has some incredible stuff. Highly recommend it. It was recommended to me by my mentor teacher. But anyway, the couple of my favorites. This is actually on Band Jeopardy. There's a whole category for Mr. Williams on there. The kids love this. And the question is what is my like my dream MPA pieces that I'd like to do? And a couple of them. I really love Ravensgate, Carl Stroman, American River Songs, Pierre LaPlante.
Uh-huh.
These are obviously pieces you got to build up towards, but In the Force of the King, Pierre LaPlante again. I love. Let's see what else is really good. Nettleton, Johnny Benson, that's a
Mhm.
go-to. Those are some of my favorite. Oh, Sundance, Carl Stroman as well. Those are really, really cool pieces. Those are kind of like the ones that are like my goals to get to. I'm really we're doing this year, we're doing for performance assessment, we're doing Larry Clark's Spirit of an Eagle because we are the Eagles and it's kind of on brand for us. That is a fantastic piece. If anyone hasn't ever heard that, you should go check it out. It's really good.
How do you build up to that? Those are some pieces obviously
Yeah.
that you want to get to.
Those pieces that I want to get to, like I said, I focus on the rhythms and teaching it at a core level so they understand it. We worked towards playing, for the first time, we played the Armed Forces, Marches of Armed Forces, and teaching 6/8 is always a hurdle for most teachers.
Sure is.
Yeah, one of my mentor teachers in the area too, Miss Wilkes, she made a thing called 6/8 shimmy. So we started with that, and it takes basically, common songs like it has row 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 your boat and things like that, and it turns it into a 6/8 figure and it has a groove in it. So I'm teaching day one these fundamentals and I'm making it into a game and I'm doing the whole ticketing system like previously mentioned and kind of making contests out of it in a way too. We have this for those tickets, I had my percussion versus my woodwinds versus my brass, and they'd have to read as many of those lines as they could. And if one person played an arrest, they were out. And once they lost their last person, that was as far as they got. So we had like a little contest. I'm really getting them laser like focused on building up these rhythms that are really important. So I can eventually program some of the pieces. I'm actually programming Ravenscape for our spring concert to try to see if they can handle that level of literature because we're building towards it. So,
So it seems like rhythm is a really important part of your pedagogy from the very beginning.
oh, for sure.
Yeah.
like day one, before beginners even have their instruments in their hand, it takes a couple of weeks for them to come in sometimes, and not everyone has it. So we give them like a deadline. Hey, have it by like the third week of school. And I teach them, foundational rhythms, and I teach them counting and clapping. My counting system is kind of like an amalgamation of different counting systems, and I teach them that rhythm and understanding it before they even put the instrument up to their face. And then I bust out the bucket drums. Everyone gets a percussion day, so percussion gets some love because it's really easy to get the percussionist getting fundamentals day one, and then we can worry about clarinet embouchure and trumpet embouchure, things like that, once we start getting into it. But then they have a fundamental understanding of basic rhythms. So.
So you have any sectional time in your group, or is it all mixed group?
Oh, it's all mixed.
Yeah.
That's one thing I would say is not the most lovely thing about a K-8 model is that with a small school, you kind of are limited with your schedule. So
Yeah.
we don't have the means to make a woodwind, brass, and percussion beginning band class. But also, I think it builds that rehearsal mindset because if they're in concert and symphonic band with everyone anyway, at the beginning band level, I'm teaching them to be respectful while we're working with another section, and we teach them about air playing and looking at different rhythms and sight reading on their own. So they're constantly engaged, and I use that ticketing system to keep them engaged, if that makes sense.
Of course does. Going back to the 6/8, I've had a bunch of people contact me if anybody wants. We use nursery rhymes. I just have like a couple pages of nursery rhymes. You mentioned row, row, row your boat because
Mhm.
kids understand 6/8. They can sing
Yeah.
6/8. They know the tunes in 6/8. They know the rhythms in 6/8. It's a matter of what does it look like? That sound before sight. They already have the sound. So we've had a lot of luck over the years using that. If anybody wants to reach out, I'm happy to share that with them.
I'd
Um,
like that too, please.
yeah, just remind me.
For sure.
You know what I could do? I could put it in the show notes. That would be
Yeah, yeah, for
fantastic
sure.
too. Why don't I do that? Okay, some recruitment ideas, including maybe a recruitment video that your students could make.
Yes, I actually showed it at the presentation. Won't show it here just because of the limitations of my media release form. But we showed it at the presentation, got special parent permission, admin permission, and the kids recorded the video. They came up with thoughtful questions. Everyone for tickets, obviously, came up. They gave me examples of 5 questions, and I picked 2 or 3 of the best questions, and I dubbed a voiceover
Mm.
and the kids all answered. Who anyone who wanted to, it was all voluntary, and the parents were all involved. They recorded meaningful and thoughtful responses, and me using my side job is video editing. I do things like that on the side. So I put it all together, made it all look nice, and I superimposed our band logo, added in some like background music. It was really, really, really cool. And then we show that on our ITV morning show, and the fifth grade teachers get to play it, and then it's playing on loop in our fitting nights. It's really cool, and since it's the kids' ownership over it, like it's not coming from an adult telling you to be in band. It's these kids saying why they love this and why they're excited to keep doing it. It's really cool.
Yeah, and if people don't know how to use iMovie, just learn how to use it. It's really easy.
Right.
Yeah, shout out to Kayla, who's a local teacher where I teach. One thing she does that's really cool is she highlights that so many of her kids are not just musicians, but they're also athletes and artists and all this. So
For
she has
sure.
this whole like photographer come in and they do posters of these kids like with all their different things, and she makes it a really big deal around the school that and around the state that these kids do all these different things, and it's like yeah, we know that, but that she goes through all that time to do
For
that,
sure.
I think that's
That's
wonderful.
fantastic.
Yeah. So you also have a YouTube channel that you use for your students as well. Tell us about that.
I do. It's called Practice with Mr. Williams. If you want to add that to the show notes too, I can send you the link. It's
Let's do it.
basically practice tracks. It focuses mostly on scales right now. I'm in the process of editing videos for basic theory. But the kids can go on there and, for example, there's a whole flute playlist. There's every instrument for in the modern concert band. But it has playlists and each scale and fundamental sight reading exercise, whatever. There's a whole thing for rudiments for snare drum, and it goes starting at a certain tempo and goes up, and it plays it for you, and then the kids play it. And if they're in time, their last note will begin the audio recording at a faster tempo of the playback. It's
Hmm.
really cool, and it's almost like a game. The kids go home, they work on it, and they get better with their scales, and they learn their all state requirements for Florida, and which helps me in the long run too.
Josh, thanks so much. This has been awesome. If people are looking to reach out to you, how would they do that?
You can the easiest way to find me is my school email williamsjt at santarosa.fl.k12.edu. us. It's the longest email ever. We'll add that to the show notes too.
Or they'll just find you on Facebook.
That too.
Yeah.
That's fun.
We sincerely appreciate you taking your valuable time and listening to the Growing Band Director podcast. Your students are very lucky to have a band director like you. If you have any suggestions for episode topics or think you have an area of expertise to share on a show with us, please reach out. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe. And if you want to help spread the word, please give us a 5-star review and tell your band director friends to subscribe as well. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, our YouTube channel, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Thanks for listening to The Growing Band Director. See you next week.